Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cricket Podcast, where we have made it to the final test of England's tour of the West Indies. It's been a day of wickets. You know, Ross, we wait an entire series for wickets and 9 come along at once, and then for a really long time none happen, and then one happens at the end of the day. I don't know. I don't even really know what to make of that. It was cricket. It was Test cricket. It was, I think, quite good fun. Ross, how you doing, man?
Give me flat wickets all day, mate. 5 days of boring, turgid cricket rather than an 11th wicket stand for like 100 runs and all these ridiculous things happening with a wicket. It's just weird. It's just weird.
It was weird. Is the word? Is there definitely the word for what happened? It was a weird pitch. You know, normally a pitch is inconsistent in one way, isn't it? It's like too bouncy or too low, or it goes sideways all the time. But this was just like totally random. The batting by England was weird. The bowling for West Indies was weird. And then that whole 10th wicket partnership was weird. Ross, what are the messages for our listeners before we get you to summarise that?
You should like and subscribe to this video, and our YouTube channel. Follow us at the Cricket Pod on Twitter and Instagram. We are sponsored by Serious Cricket, and you can see the code on screen, but it is TCP22 for our audio listeners, and you'll get 10% off all of your cricket equipment. Get yourself a new cricket bat ahead of the season. You've just got about enough time to knock it in, annoy your partner you live with, or your housemates or your neighbours. Perfect. And then also, we're on Patreon. We've had a couple new Patreons this week. Very welcome to the club. You get on our Discord channel. You can play chess against Jack, Age of Empires against Max. People seem to be liking that stuff. So I don't know what game I'm going to play against them, but
darts.
I'm terrible at darts.
Yeah,
how can you play? How would I play darts online?
No, you play at home, don't you? You have your dartboard. They have their dartboard, and you just like. You could definitely play darts.
That sounds like a fucking ridiculous.
I can't believe I came up with that. I said darts because I was like, that's ridiculous, and then I invented remote darts. So
remote darts.
There's that.
It'd be that bit where you're literally like this. You go, sorry, mate, 180. Look, and someone else is just putting it in.
Get it?
Sign up for that, and you get all loads of access. And we're obviously going to be covering all of the IPL, all of this Test match. So we've got so much content to come, and there's going to be exclusive access to certain episodes on there as well. So the game, Jack.
The game. Well, how about I do the first session, and then you do the next session? All right. So at the beginning, there was cricket, and it was pretty evident quite early on that this pitch was going to be a little bit more lively than the first two we'd seen in this series in Antigua and Barbados. Brathwaite, he decided to bowl first. And I think from England's point of view, it was pretty clear what they had to do. There was a bit of grass. It wasn't ridiculous. It was a bit of grass. The game plan had to be get through lunch, get into the afternoon, hope that it flattens out a little bit, and make some runs. And it went okay to begin with. They saw off the opening spell, and then Kyle Mayers came into the attack. Kyle Mayers bowled 5 overs, 5 maidens, picked up Zach Crawley and Joe Root. And it sort of precipitated a little bit of a downward spiral. I think did Dan Lawrence go just before lunch as well. Before I pass over to you.
We went at the 25th over.
Okay, so Dan Lawrence went just before lunch. It was about 50 for 3 at lunch. Ross.
So then it was a position that England had found themselves in quite often, really. And it's always really funny to kind of start going, do you know what, Red Bull reset and look where we are. But in the first Test match, we battled back. We saw Johnny Bairstow hit a brilliant century, and England had it in their locker to fight back. Here, however, by the 32nd over, so this is 2.5 overs after lunch, we are 53 for 6. So we've lost 3 wickets for 7 runs.
I think 3 people went on 53, didn't they? Stokes and Bairstow and one of the other ones as well.
Yeah, Lees. Lees went. And it was that bit where I I don't think that we can really be too angry at England. And I know this is absolutely ridiculous coming out of my mouth, but sometimes you're onto a hiding to nothing. I think sometimes you're in that position where the opposition have got their tails up, they're bowling well, the pitch is assisting the bowlers a little bit, and you're a little bit shell shocked because you're coming in and you're just like, oh my god, what's going on? And I think the credit needs to go to the West Indian bowlers. Yeah, there was a couple of wickets that we kind of just gave it away, but all in all, it's pretty good. But then we had Folkes at the crease, and we had Wokes at the crease. So we had Folkes and Wokes. Folkes did nothing. And he had 7 runs, so only survived for 17 balls. And again, it was on the shoulders of batting all-rounder Chris Wokes to dig us out of a hole. He did a great job until Jordan Seals up-pegged him. But there was some really, really good lower order tail wagging. Craig Overton finally contributed something for England with a kind of almost like an ODI innings from him for a 14 from 16 balls. But then the big show started. The big show was Jack Leach and Chris Wokes batting together, salvaging England to a respectable position, which was 114. Oh no, this could only go one way. We're going to be all out for 120, and they're gonna bat out the rest of the day where they've got about 40 over to spare. But no, the saviour Saqib Mahmood comes in and he's like, "Do you know what? My high class score in first class cricket is about 10. Doesn't matter. Jack Leach, glasses on, Colt batting hero, bat together and cause all kinds of mayhem, and get so close to seeing out the day that Saqib Mahmood fell 2 balls before the end of the day when he was on 49. Great effort. Got England up from 114 to 204, which, do you know what? Competitive.
Yeah, it was right, wasn't it? Jack Leach, Colt batting hero in his glasses. He's got a little headband now, hasn't he? I was wondering, Ross, have you know those tiny rubber bands that you get? They're like
an elastic band.
They're elastic bands, yeah. I mean, I don't really know what they're used for, but you see them. It's normally for like, a Christmas cracker. There'll be like a little thing you have to make, and there'll be a tiny rubber band in there. If you put one of them round your thumb, that looks a little bit like what Jack Leach looks like when he takes his helmet off and he's got that thing round his head. If you drew some glasses on your thumb and put that round, it would look exactly like Jack Leach, I think.
And that, well, it's simple.
It's simple.
Your analogy there, just like Jack's batting.
It was.
It was effective.
It was effective. Should we talk about how England got into the mess?
Yes,
right, so there's 3 things at play here. There's good bowling, there's pitch, there's bad batting. Where are you apportioning blame? That's what we do here, we apportion blame. You've got 100% blame. What's your breakdown of blame?
That is a toughie. That is a toughie. I think the blame, Joe Root changed his cool toss. Do you see this? Changed his cool toss. Not sure if it's
What's the cool toss?
Toyn toss. Cool toss.
Toss call.
You know, the call of the toss.
Called. Okay, all right, yeah. Okay.
Heads or tails, and he changed his from the winning formula, and he lost. So Joe Root, that is a big thing. If England,
have you had a bang on the head?
I'm not very well, so I might have. I might have caught COVID.
Well, we were together at the weekend. Well, you did say earlier on. I thought this was. I didn't want to pull you up on it, but this has happened like 3 times now. You said Saqib Mahmood got his high class, or something like that. I was like, I think you had highest first class score, but
maybe I'm just having a stroke and I just don't know it yet.
Well, let's hope not.
Let's hope not.
If it does happen, there are people watching on the internet who can call an ambulance for you. So it could be worse, couldn't it?
It could be worse. So I think when it comes to apportioning blame, I think the toss was a big factor. I think England's top order, we know it's a little bit brittle, but again, I'm really much in the camp that this wasn't a total disaster from England. I just thought West Indies were pretty good. And I just thought, actually, this happens to any team, and it's just a bit embarrassing for England because they've had this whole Red Bull reset. That's what I kind of. I think It just happens from time to time. Look at Pakistan against Australia.
Does happen
Good
quite a
batting
lot
lineup
to
for
England.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I've kind of I'm not sure if any other England fan has done this. I've drawn a line in the sand.
Oh, Red Bull
Any
reset. So it's
Yeah, Red
now we're
Bull
a good
reset.
team again.
I don't consider anything before Red Bull reset. So actually, to me, I've only ever seen England be in this position one other time, and that was in the first test, and we managed to get 300 odd. So I was never worried. I had faith in the boys.
It was. I think 200 is only just on the low end of what a good score on this pitch would have been. It's not even necessarily a bad score. It's below average score instead of a bad score, I think. I did think they batted pretty badly though. If I was going to give blame out, I'd say 30% good bowling by West Indies, 20% pitch, probably 50% bad batting. Zach Crawley, sort of personified this with his wicket, where he. I am 100% sure this is a thing he does. He decides I'm going to hit the next ball for 4, and then tries to hit the next ball for 4. And it was this wide sort of length ball. It was basically impossible to do what he was trying to do with the ball to that ball, which was to just plant your foot down the wicket and slash it through the offside. Even chip to catch to cover. That is bad batting. There's no.
Yeah, I mean, I do have in my notes here some bad shots. Sure,
that was
got
okay.
Crawley and Stokes. So
Yeah.
there is, and it's Zach Crawley. It's his indiscipline, which makes him entertaining. It's a bit like a dog. I kind of taking, who is typically well behaved, but then poos on the carpet, and you're half mad, and then half. Well, he's a dog, so I kind of expected him to do it.
Yeah. I don't really know where we go from there. To be honest, so we're giving some blame to England's batters. It did look like it was going to be really bad. It's such a difficult one to analyse this, isn't it? Because they do end up on, like I say, what I think is probably a below average score. But by rights, they should have been bowled out for 110. This was a 110 all-out batting performance that has netted them 200 runs somehow. It's almost double the number of runs this batting order deserve. They have because of freak occurrences. Jack Leach can bat a little bit, but not really this well. In these circumstances, Jack Leach's his life expectancy was probably about 8 balls, wasn't it? Let's be honest.
That's harsh. That is harsh.
Right, maybe 15.
Test match 91. What have you got?
Well, yeah. So how can I possibly talk about this? Saqib Mahmood. Here's the chances of him getting his high class first class, as you should say, as the phrase goes, must have been 250 to 1. Pretty long odds. Both horses have come in. It's Cheltenham week. England have struck lucky, and they finish on 200. What else did you want to do? What else do you want to talk about? Because we should probably mention the West Indies bowling being quite good.
I'm trying to think of what an England racehorse would be called. So if this England team had a racehorse, what it would be called? Any suggestions? Put it in the live chat. We've got a few people.
Give it the old, Well, if you're listening to the audio only, Ross and I are miming shooting the horse.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have done many races, would it?
No, it wasn't. No, it was
this particular horse.
No, it'd soon be turned into batting glue, wouldn't it? Unfortunately. But yeah, let's praise the West Indies bowling. So I think again, this bowling, they dropped the spinner. It was unsurprising, really. He's been relatively ineffective. Only really took wickets when England were just going for it and trying to make a game of it. Kyle Mayer's coming in. T20 Supremo, as we know he's going to be in the IPL, picks up 2, as you say. I think Craig Brathwaite did well at the start. I think he marshalled his team pretty well. They got a little bit unlucky, I suppose. I think Alex Lees and Crawley, they survived for a bit, right? It wasn't just total demolition from the outset. They survived for 12 overs, I think it was. But then, the wheels came off a little bit, and that is because they were disciplined, right? They were disciplined, bowled good lines. What I was really impressed at was when they went through Ben Stokes. They were talking about it on commentary around how Ben Stokes had struggled against the bouncing ball in Australia. Like Cameron Green caused him all kinds of trouble. And here, on the previous 2 tests, they've not really been able to go at him like that because they'd put in a bouncer and he'd be like, "Yeah, well, that's going past me like 70 miles an hour because we're playing on a flat one." Here, it was a bit more challenging, and he's got forced into playing a bit of a stupid shot. And Alzari Joseph did a really good job on that. So I think there's plenty of praise. But again, it's a game of 2 halves, as they say, or a day of 3 sessions.
It's a
2 of
day of
which
3
were
sessions.
West Indies.
Yeah, well, I mean, and then one of them was England, so it's 2-1 basically. Have you seen, Ross? Italy have just been knocked out of the World Cup by North Macedonia.
No, they haven't.
They have. They've let in a 92nd minute losing goal. Wales are through, so that's good for them. Oh, well, we chart reasonably well in the Italian cricket podcast stakes. So hopefully they'll rally round the cricket podcast now that the Azzurri are out of the World Cup.
Azzurri Joseph.
I can't believe it. Anyway, they beat England in the Euros and then don't even make the World Cup. That's disgraceful.
That's because England's just embarrassing. Jack, when it comes to Craig Brathwaite's captaincy,
yes, this is a good question. I know where you're going with this. Yeah,
like he comes in with a bit of like credit from this series. I think his profile has gone up, as it kind of always does when you play against England, and he had led from the front. It kind of let it meander, didn't he? Really, like he didn't take control of the game. It was almost like watching Joe Root captain when we'd ripped through a team in home conditions, thought it was done and dusted, and then forgot that they had a 9, 10, and 11 to get out, and then leaked 50 runs.
Yeah, I mean, I think even when the 9th wicket goes down, they've bowled 53 overs. They inexplicably, after about the 60th over, just stopped trying to get the last wicket. That completely stopped. There was, I think it was 12 overs of the last 20 were bowled by part-timers, just lobbing up grenades. And they're not good part-timers as well. I mean, Nkrumah Bonner, not particularly special. Brathwaite himself, bowls 42 miles an hour, I think. I looked this up. 40. I think it was 42 miles an hour. That's probably about as quick as a park spin bowler bowls. Like a good club spin bowler is bowling substantially quicker than that. I'd speculate. Well, I know. Kyle Mayers, he bowled 5 overs for 2. 5 overs, taken 2 wickets for none earlier, but not
10 in the day.
Yeah, not really. I don't think the person who you want to be bowling loads when the game's almost wrapped up. I thought it was odd because you're going to bowl. If you're planning to wait for the new ball, then you're going to give like 5 overs to Roach and 5 overs to Seals at the end of the game. At the end of the day, why not just do that in the 50?
Or give it to Holder.
Yeah,
that's what I didn't understand. Like Holder has demonstrated that he can get the tail out.
Yeah,
and he bowls a decent bouncer, bowls a decent Yorker. Doesn't. Yeah, he's going to be too good for Jack Leach and too good for.
I mean, Mahmood in particular here. He actually played some really nice looking shots, Mahmood, but he also.
Just from square leg.
Yeah, played a lot of them from square leg. Just sort of dangled his bat in the vague direction of the ball. And you're thinking, if you bowl 3 deliveries and over on the stumps at over 80 miles an hour for 3 overs, you'll get him out. Mm-hmm. Like, he's not good enough to defend that. And they didn't. They bowled 40 miles an hour, not on the stumps. I mean, there was one appeal from Brathwaite himself. Actually, he was bowling off spin from round the wicket to a right-handed number 11. It bounced outside leg stump, obviously, and it was, it can't be out LBW, basically. It might have been going on to hit the stumps, and he appealed. And I just thought, like, the whole scenario there was so ridiculous. 1, that you're appealing when you know it absolutely can't be out. 2, that you've decided to bowl round the wicket to this number 11, who obviously doesn't really know what he's doing. He's never got a 50 in his life. Is a proper rabbit, and also you have Kemar Roach and Jaden Seals and Alzari Joseph actually bowling well for the first time in the series, and Holder sort of hanging out. It was I just thought really odd that happened.
I don't know why, but I assumed that Craig Brathwaite bowled that way as a tactic. Right, when he's bowling.
Oh no, that's just how he bowls.
Yeah, I generally thought, oh, he's going to bowl at the tail. He bowled a little bit flatter, some darts. No. Continue the moon ball, which I respect.
Yeah,
that's kind of it, really. If we think around that, great up front from West Indies. They ripped it out and then they completely threw it away, and England got dragged back into it by the lower order. England's duck count, Jack, for 2022, it's up to 10.
10
from 9 innings,
double digits.
So,
very good. Yeah, decent.
Should we talk about the other big news of the day?
We've got one question on this actually, and then we'll do the other big news of the day from VJ on our Discord. So for Patreon members, patreon.co.uk, patreon.com/thecricketpod, you can hang out, ask us questions. Hey guys, if you are taking questions, we are VJ. I have a controversial one for you.
Ooh.
We haven't actually talked. Speaking of controversy, we haven't really addressed Michael Vaughan being back on the TV, which is fucking ridiculous. Just need to make that clear. I mean, I don't really want to spend too much time on Michael Vaughan, but his career is basically professional troll at this point, and you know, BT Sport are probably paying him about £10,000 for this week or something like that. I'd have thought.
Yeah, probably. He's kind of like the way I see it is like he's like a budget Piers Morgan. And you don't want to be that.
You don't. So he can fuck off. This is what VJ says. Does uneven bounce on day one count as a bad pitch? I don't think it was a good pitch, is what I would say. You'd probably want it to be a little bit truer in terms of the consistency of bounce. I didn't really mind the lateral movement. I thought that was actually good. And I quite liked the ones that carried through. It's the ones, and it didn't happen loads, but it did happen. Some balls did just die and go along the floor, and that never makes for great cricket, I don't think. Because batters are always nervous about playing half their shots, aren't they?
Yeah, I suppose Joe Root got one that didn't really bounce as he would have expected it to bounce, right? But again,
didn't account for the wickets really, but I think it probably made it harder than it could have been.
Yeah.
Right. What's the other big news? The
other big news is that old Magic Camo Gloves is retired.
Oh well, that is big. He's retired.
Oh, not retired. No, he's not retired. Don't worry, I said retired. I mean, this blow to the head that I've taken. Breaking news: Dhoni is retired. No, he hasn't. He has just abdicated his responsibility as captain of CSK, giving it to a pretty worthy successor, I suppose, in Ravi Jadeja. We speculated that Dhoni only really gets in the team if he's captain. It's kind of the
he gets in the team. He gets in the team. He's going to play. He might not play.
He will play. Yeah. He will play. But I'm just if he is playing, why is he doing that? He did a similar thing when he stepped down from India. He kind of carried on playing, gave the responsibility to Kohli. Just kind of offer some pearls of wisdom.
Yeah, he'll be standing there, won't he? Telling the bowlers where to bowl.
I'm just why is he just getting Jadeja ready? Like, what's the thing?
You don't question the Dhoni process. I thought you made a funny joke in our WhatsApp group when you said this is a bit like when Ferguson retired just before all the Man United players got old and gave it to David Moyes, so it looked like it was David Moyes' fault. It is a little bit like that. There's an element of like, okay, you bought all the same old players, what are you going to do? And it's just like, see ya!
I'm trying to figure out who Park Yi-sung is or who John O'Shea is or something like that.
Yeah. Other big news in Pakistan. We should probably talk about this test match because there's two. This England test will probably turn out to be a good one, I think. Pakistan v India, though. Pakistan. Well, basically, Pat Cummins has gone for like a balls out declaration, hasn't he? He's been like, I'm going to put my money where my mouth
testicles
is my testicles. Yeah, I'm going to put my money where well, I guess in your wallet, in the general area, isn't it? Anyway, he declared 350 ahead with 3.5 sessions to go. 3, maybe even 4 sessions to go, to be honest. And Pakistan made it to the end of the day without losing a wicket, which means they need under 3 and over with 10 wickets in hand on day 5 on a reasonably flat pitch. Ross, can they do it?
Of course they can. It's Pakistan. You can't people continue to underestimate Pakistan, and they underestimate Babar Azam. I think that this game is it's going to be a Pakistan win, Jack. I reckon they're going to do it.
Okay.
I think, but I don't mind it from Cummings. I think the carrot has been dangled. If Pakistan try and block out for the draw, it's going to be pretty disappointing. But I don't mind this type of cricket. It makes it far more exciting, right? Tomorrow should be an unbelievably exciting day of Test cricket, where if you compare it to what was in Rawalpindi, where it was a disgrace of a pitch, this has it's put new, fresh air into the game, and I'm very excited for it. Actually, I think I'll watch as much as I can.
Google says 33% Australia, 37% draw, 30% Pakistan. So it's about as close as it could possibly be going into the final day. It could have some implications as well, I think, for the old World Test Championship, because Australia are right up the top, and I think they've got some home series to play. So you'd think they probably will make the final. It would be a bit of a fuck up by them to not make the final from this point, given the schedule that they've got ahead, and the fact that they've banked all those points against England already. Then they've got to go to South Africa, haven't they? That could be a bit tricky, but they've got quite a good record there, and they've definitely got the bowling to do well in South African conditions. So I'd expect them to pick up points there. Pakistan are sort of in the mix with like India and South Africa themselves, actually, in this 2, 3, 4 area. If Pakistan can pull it off, that might be a little bit of a, I don't know if it's a surprise win, but it'll be like bonus points for them. That puts the pressure on India. India are going to have to go. They're going to have to go Bangladesh, get a result in Bangladesh.
Yeah, I'd say a home series in Pakistan is going to be in Pakistan's favour, right? I think if Australia win tomorrow, it's a really good win for Australia.
Do you reckon?
I think Dan Norcross said on Twitter it's a bit of a rope-a-dope from Pakistan. And if we get skilled in the first innings, be like, oh, we're out of this. We're all out of this. Cum Dog gets a bit too overexcited, and then they're just like, we've got 8 wickets.
I think what we've learned from this is that Australia actually are pretty good. You're right that the conditions should favour Pakistan, but I think Australia have probably had the best. I mean, neither match has been super close. I mean, the second test, everyone was like, oh, wow, what a great test match. It was quite a good test match, wasn't it? And Australia got within 3 wickets of winning, but it wasn't like last man stands, everyone round the bat. It was Mitch Swepson bowling half trackers to Mohammad Rizwan, who was belting them into the stands to get to 100. Like it was, the tension levels were slightly different. But I think Australia were better in that test. Arguably, the first one, we don't know who was the best team because they'd still be playing now. If
just on 5,000 not out.
All the records were going to fall. If that was a timeless test, it would. People would have died of old age in the game. They'd have had the ICC would have had to legislate on died of old age substitutes. Like what kind of death enables you to bring in a replacement, and what kind of death means that actually you now have to just complete the test match with 10 men. They'd have had to decide on that. Point is, I think Australia have looked pretty good. I think Australia have looked pretty good. Pakistan have done okay, but I think Australia's bowling has just been that bit better. That's batting probably equal, but Stark and Cummins have been better than Shaheen.
No, did you see Shaheen Afridi's ball to get out David Warner? That was
not saying he hasn't bowled good balls, Ross.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm trying to move the conversation on a little bit, and I've seen there's been some really good cricket in that series.
Yes.
And I think it will be a really good win for Australia if they do it. But then also, if Pakistan win, I think they've pulled one out of the bag as well. I think I think this Test match in particular is on a knife edge, and I think it should be a good game tomorrow. Right,
should we wrap up? It's about half an hour.
Yeah, we should.
Are we doing me and Max are playing foot tomorrow, aren't we? Are you doing a podcast tomorrow?
No.
Okay, so we're not doing one tomorrow. We're not doing one on Saturday. We will be back together on Sunday. What I'll do, I'll put out there will be a show out if you're listening to the audio of this. There'll be a show out tomorrow. It'll be our final IPL previews. I didn't put the audio of that out. So there'll be content. We're content machines. But there won't be a live podcast because it's the weekend. It's a shame that the tests have been in this order because the only fucking good one we're.
When is the first game of the IPL?
It's Saturday.
Saturday. Just CSK versus KKR, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good game. Good
cool.
game that to open up.
Great.
All right. Speak to you later, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.